Welcome to Immaculate Television, ITVS. Our society is shaped by events here and there.
You're welcome to News Talk on ITVS, and of course, it's a platform where we treat you to some of the pertinent stories, in our newspapers all across the country, Nigeria, and even beyond this nation. My name is Eyitayo Folorensho. I welcome you on board. What precisely we do on this show is that we talk you into the news, things happening around us right here. We're not just here, just to read the news to you, but we talk you into it so that you enjoy listening to news better. I'm glad that you are here today. Now, yesterday, Nigeria played South Africa, and the match was in semifinals. It was a very serious competition yesterday. But all the same, it was victorious for Nigeria. So we're saying congratulations to Nigerians generally. How do you feel about the match? What actually happened? Where were you? And how did you watch the match? But then something happened in Nigeria. Yesterday, there was this man, former member of the House of Representatives, representing Ika Federal Constituency of Delta State, Dr. Cairo Ojongbon, who was reportedly dead this morning. And you know what happened? During the time that a penalty kick was awarded to the opposition team, that's South Africa now, you know. So, and they scored the penalty kick. So it was 1-1 for Nigeria. So the man screamed and shouted like, and that actually resulted in multiple heart attacks. But at the same time, he couldn't survive it. So he died. Now, this is what I always tell people. If you know your health condition, there are some things you should do away with, especially watching football. If you know that you are not feeling too good, it is better you stay away from watching things, that will escalate your heartbeats and, give you some palpitation and increase your heart rates. So a case of multiple heart attacks was reported yesterday, and we lost that man. It was said to have passed away on Wednesday evening, and that was last evening during the time of the match while watching the AFCON semi-finals match between Nigeria and South Africa, just like we said. So a lot of people have been sending in their uh, consolation messages and all those things to family and friends all around about the late politician, Cairo Ojogo. So we pray that God will grant the family and friends the fortitude to bear the loss. But the lesson there is that you have to be very careful, know what you need to do per time and what you don't need to do so that you can save your life. If you know that you have a heart-related problem, then stay away from watching, games, matches that could escalate your heart rates and give you, heart attacks or something like that. It's not everyone that survives it. So that is just it. Now let's quickly move to other things which we have in our country, Nigeria, today. Like I said, that it is News Talk on ITVS, where we discuss more about matters arising in Nigeria. Looking at the economy which we have in this country, we've been saying it over and over again that the situation in the country is not palatable, especially when it comes to the issue of prices of goods and services. what people eat, how the money they spend. The money is not even there. But let's even come back to some people who have access to meager sources of income. The money is not enough to buy what they need to eat and all those things. So in the recent time, a prominent lawyer in Nigeria, Femi Falana SAN, summoned the federal government through its own agency to court over the prices of goods and services skyrocketing in Nigeria. So the court ruled yesterday, and it gave the federal government 7 days ultimatum to put a cap on the prices of goods, in Nigeria, including petroleum, diesel, talking about salt, milk, and some other household needs like that in Nigeria, that the prices are just skyrocketing, the prices are not stable. You find out this one will sell for this particular amount of money, the other one you find that this one is selling at the other selling different prices here and there. If you want to buy a sachet of milk here, it is not the same price you bought it in the first place that you're going to buy it in the other place. So the prices are not stable. And that is why majority of people suffer a lot, in the recent times. So the court ruled that the federal government should actually move and act on its constitutional ground to make sure that it places a cap on all these goods so that consumers can actually predict what they're going to meet right in the market. What do you think about that one? Can the federal government achieve that in the next 7 days? And the ultimatum has started counting right now. What do you feel will happen? Do you think that there could be any miracle, within the next 7 days that everything will be stabilized? Let me give you an example. Petroleum, a liter of petrol right now is being sold for 600 naira in some places 625 naira, in some places 630 naira, in some other places 630 naira, in some other places more than that, 700 naira in some places, So the prices are not stable, really, and government is not really saying anything like that. So the consumers are always at the end of the whole bargain. Well, as of today, the federal government is actually reacting to the judgment delivered by the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos, which ordered the federal government to fix the prices of petrol, diesel, kerosene, and other goods within 7 days from February 7. That was since yesterday. So the ultimatum, like I said, has actually started. Now, the court made the order in its judgment in a suit, called by the rights activist and lawyer, Mr. Femi Falana SCN, against the Price Control Board and Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice in Nigeria. So government is now saying that they are going to look into releasing the grains, like releasing the grains in stock, the grains in reserves to address food cost. Now, it assured Nigerians that food items will be released from the national food reserves and part of the measures to crash food prices. So somebody was asking this morning, why do you think that government was actually hoarding these food items in the national food reserves? And we were able to enlighten the person that, okay, we can't bring out all the food that we have at once so that people would not just waste and do everything possible. But then, why has government not been proactive about releasing these grains, and subsidizing production, subsidizing things, agriculture and stuff, other things to make life better for farmers? Provide security for them so that they will feel comfortable. No one was actually coming to harass them, right, in their farms. You quite understand what happened in Benue State. A lot of farmers were killed right there while in their various farmlands. And looking at what's happened in some other northern parts of the country, where bandits would always come to mount tax points where farmers would have to pay tax to bandits before they could have access, to their various farm areas. These are some of the issues, constituting or aggravating the agricultural situation hiccups in Nigeria up to this time. So the government will have to do more than releasing grains to the society. What do you think? You can actually drop a comment, so that you have an idea of what is really happening. We want to know what you feel about some of these things also. But then it is not a walkover in Nigeria, because prices of foods and services are hitting the rooftop. And at the same time, that is actually striking fears into the hearts of so many Nigerians. How would they feed their families? Some have a family of 4, some have a family of 3, 5, 6. How do you expect the parents to cope, with feeding the children or feeding the family so far? And if you look at it, there are agitations brooding in some parts of the country, talking about Niger State, talking about Kano State, talking about Kwara State and some other states in Nigeria. On social media platforms, there have been complaints, subtle protests coming from angry and hungry Nigerians against the federal government of Nigeria, telling the federal government to do something about the skyrocketing prices of food items, because the country is going hungry at this time. And you quite understand, according to an editorial written in Vanguard yesterday, that an angry man is a hungry man. And you do not want to predict what a hungry man would want to do at this time. So it's very important, that the federal government could do something about that. It's very, very important. Okay, so still looking at some of the things, happening in our country, Nigeria. We have issues as regards the issue of the late APC chieftain, Cairo Ojombo, seems to cut across most of the dailies which we have today. It's very pathetic, really, and I always say that people would have to be very careful, So then back to Oyo State. You quite understand what actually happened in Oyo State, where we had explosions, recorded in Bodija, in Ibadan here, in which 5 lives and several houses were lost to that particular incident. Some have not been able to recover from that shock, from that incident up to this particular time. We lost a whole lot of people, in that incident. Now, the Oyo State government has come out to say that it actually eyed like 3 prominent and influential people involved in that explosion. And the government is saying that it is going to do everything possible to prosecute them, so that it is not really a matter that should be swept under the carpet, so that because it's something very serious, at this particular moment. So let's just find some time, to see how the government is planning to go about that. Another issue happening in the news today is the issue of coming from the oil and gas sector. The oil and gas sector has always been in the news, really, has always been in the news. But this time around, the independent marketers, or let's say marketers generally, are heaping the blames on NNPCL. That's the body in charge of importing petroleum products into the country. And they are saying that NNPCL is not selling the products to private depots, which, if not controlled, might actually increase or encourage the spread of fuel scarcity into most states in Nigeria. Already, according to news this morning, queues have actually returned to Lagos, places like Kano, and some other prominent states in Nigeria, so that this will not spread to other states, So the government is, the marketers are telling NMPCL to start selling the product to private depots, depot owners, so that they won't have to struggle for everything. Because according to them, NMPCL is not selling the products, or if they want to sell, they're selling beads and stuff like that, and they don't know why NMPCL is doing that. Now let's come back to it. The NMPCL said some times ago that it has already deregulated the oil and gas sector. And what this means is that individual depot owners should have access, to bring in the product. But then, why is it that government is not doing, is not following that to letter? Why is it that NMPCL is still involved in the affairs of importing the products and distributing the products after saying that it has already deregulated the oil and gas sector? It's a question we can't really answer up to this time around. So is government not willing to let go of the activities in the oil and gas sector, or what? It's kind of a question, that we can't really answer at the moment. But then, for us not to have another round of fuel scarcity and queues returning to our filling stations in Nigeria, so we are saying that NMPCL, according to the marketers, should start selling the products now. Otherwise, by the time they finish up with all they have in reserves, there might be fuel scarcities and queues may actually return to most of our filling stations in Nigeria. Well, we're still on News Talk on ITVS, where we, take you through some of these issues here and there on the front pages of our newspapers, just trying to talk you into them so that you can feel relaxed while you get ideas about what is really happening around you. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we will discuss more about other pertinent issues, in other parts of the country, Nigeria. It is very enjoyable, so don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
Wherever, whenever there is a story, that is where you find us. Where the gist is developing, that is where we cast our net. Where there is a drama, you can trust us to act it out. And where there is news, reporting is our delight. Even on the go, we are ready to track it. At Immaculate Television, we bring you the latest, hottest, and spot-on news as it makes the rounds all over the world. Reporting from the nooks and crannies of both rural and urban communities. Talk of politics, business, sports, entertainment, events, and many more. You can trust us with your airtime and view time, because we are binoculate. We are Immaculate Television, ITVS.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. It's still News Talk on ITVS, where we discuss more about pertinent stories on the front pages of our newspapers as of today. And what is really happening, in our country, Nigeria? Well, I say that NMPCL has begun production of extra 14,000 barrel per day stuff. Is NMPCL trying to yield to the noises of oil marketers in Nigeria? It's another issue that we'll be looking into. Meanwhile, let's quickly move away from the oil and gas sector. You remember something happened in Katsina State some times ago. Katsina State, that's the Damari Sabwa local government area of that state particularly. Last Thursday, something happened in which a bride who just got married, about 55 passengers accompanying her were kidnapped on their way back after the wedding. So they actually abducted women accompanying the bride to a matrimonial home at Damari Sabwa local government area of Katsina State last Thursday. Now, the bandits actually released a video showing the captives, just as usual. So in the video, which is currently trending on social media, the bandits threatened to tie the wedding knots between the already married lady And one of them, unless the relations of the captors paid a ransom of 100 million naira to them. Girl, can you imagine? In the country Nigeria, as it is right now, where do you want the people to get 100 million naira? And they are threatening that if they don't pay them this morning, they are going to marry, they will remarry the bride. Okay, the bride was married when she was kidnapped, but right now they are planning to remarry the bride and marry off every other person accompanying her, you know, to a matrimonial home at that point. Now, this is another security issue in our country, Nigeria. It's so pathetic when you look at this. Remember what actually happened in Ekiti a couple of weeks back, where pupils and staff of an apostolic church, you know, group of schools were kidnapped. They were abducted also, you know. And remember what happened in some other states, kidnapping here and there, and a lot of things happening, you know, at the moment. So now the outlaws vowed to, the bandits are even vowing to sell off the 62 wedding guests that were kidnapped along the bride. If their demands were not met, they want to sell them off. If they can't marry them, they'll sell them off. And the case of what actually happened in August 2014 about the Chibok girls, the case is still fresh in our memories as of today. So during last Thursday's attack on the wedding convoy, 4 members of a vigilante group were reportedly killed and no fewer than 55 wedding guests, including children, were snatched and have since then been held hostage, according to the villagers. So what do we feel about these matters arising at the moment? All right, apart from some of the security issues which we have in Nigeria, we can also give you some of these headlines. Well, South Africa is saying that they actually played better than Nigeria, but they didn't know what actually happened. You could listen to that complaint after this news. Okay, and the issue of the APC chieftain who lost his life while watching the AFCON match yesterday is in most of the dailies that we have today. And why Supreme Court justices are yet to be inaugurated 48 days after Senate clearance, it's also there. So we will be back tomorrow when it is 10 o'clock on News Talk on ITVS. This is where we talk you into the news so that you enjoy listening to news better and better. I would love to hear from you, you know, under this, in your comments. Just drop something so that I will know what you feel about some of these issues in our country, Nigeria. Well, on behalf of the production crew, my name is Eitayo Folorensho. I'll see you tomorrow. And in our subsequent news bulletins for today, that's at 1:30 and 4 o'clock today. Have a wonderful time to yourself.